Next, we're going to hear from Jaime from the Palouse Land Trust, who will be talking about permanent conservation solutions on the Palouse.
Thanks, Mackenzie. My name is Jaime Jovanovich-Walker. I am the Communications and Development Coordinator here at Palouse Land Trust. Pullman native, 2007 WSU graduate, and I've been with the Land Trust for a little over 6 years now. And simply put, Palouse Land Trust helps conserve the very best of the Palouse, our working lands, open spaces, healthy fish and wildlife habitat, rare ecosystems like the native Palouse Prairie, and outdoor spaces like Idler's Rest Nature Preserve. We were founded as a 501c3 nonprofit in 1995 to serve the private land conservation needs of Whitman, Latah, Nez Perce, Bennewash, Shoshone, Clearwater, Lewis, and Idaho counties, or as I like to call it, the knuckle of Idaho. And land trusts are really unique in that we work with private landowners to develop voluntary permanent conservation solutions that benefit the landowners and the entire community forever. We do this kind of conservation work using a legal framework that's called a conservation easement. It is tied to the deed of the property itself and permanently restricts certain development rights like subdivision, housing development, or extractive activities like mining or clear-cutting timber. When these development rights are removed, the property is protected from conversion to alternative uses, which makes ag land conservation easements an exceptional tool for protecting our most fertile working lands by keeping them in working hands. Conservation easements are fully customized to meet the goals, vision, and conservation priorities of the landowner and each specific property. There is no one size fits all, no minimum or no maximum size requirement. And because they're permanent legal agreements tied to the property itself, the land is protected forever, regardless of ownership changes in the future. So this also guarantees that any restoration projects, land, soil, and habitat improvements, and the agricultural heritage of the property is protected forever as well, regardless of who owns it. And they can be extremely helpful if you or your family might be entering into farm succession planning. It oftentimes reduces property or capital gains taxes, and it just makes the entire process a lot easier. And I'm really excited to say that we've seen a marked uptick in ag land easement interest. I think that's probably a lot due in part to the really crazy real estate market. Families are facing a lot of pressure to sell or subdivide their farms, and we've had tough weather, tough market years. It can be really tempting, but in order to maintain that heritage and honestly our economy and history, they're coming to us for help, and it's wonderful. We've got 3 active projects right now and a handful of inquiries in the last month alone. So what's great about easements is they make land more affordable for the next generation of the family and for new farmers and ranchers entering the industry. As I mentioned, property taxes are reduced, the land's cheaper to purchase in a lot of cases, and an easement guarantees that the land will remain in active production. So that development pressure isn't going to be a factor, especially for a young farmer starting out and trying to get their feet under them. So again, because they're protected, the agricultural heritage is preserved, and really productive farms and ranches remain exactly that, in production and supporting our local economy and food systems. And many of you might be familiar with Tom and Cheryl Camerzell. They are landowners over in Whitman County, but one of my favorite ag land success stories is the Maple K. Myers easement that protects about 500 acres of agricultural land. Just as you enter into Colfax from Pullman, it'd be on the right side of the highway. This land was slated for multiple housing developments, and the original owner, Mr. Myers, there it is right there, could no longer run the farm, and his children were interested in carrying on that legacy. He held out on selling until he could find a conservation-minded buyer, and that happened to be the Camerzells. When they purchased the land, they literally had a handshake agreement that with Mr. Myers that they would honor his vision and goal of keeping the land in active production and protect his family's agricultural legacy. And they did just that by placing a conservation easement on the property in 2018. effectively, they have not only solidified their conservation legacy, but that of the families and the farmers before them. And I just want to say, if any of you are interested or want to learn more, the Land Trust is here. We have a wide service area, and if we can't help you, we will find the people that can. And thank you so much for inviting us to talk today.
Thank you, Jamie. We really, really appreciate that presentation and that wonderful success story.